Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Yes, can you hear me all right? All right, so you lovely people put me up here 2 weeks in a row. So I just want to recap a tiny bit of last week, because I know this is just a continuation. And the whole month for Unity is a month of healing, and to dwell on healing and to realize what healing is for you, as well as the people around you. And last week I touched on, that you can be a different person from second to second, and to realize that everybody else on the planet can be a different person from second to second as well. And it just seems like that message has come even closer, at least for me, since I spoke to you last week. Many of you know I deal with a lot of different people and clients on a regular basis. And the theme has really been perceptions of what other people are doing or need to do from their point of view. And I even expressed that last week when we put people on that healing list, and when we send healing, that we open it up to maybe more than what we think is possible, or more than what we think needs to be done, because the healing plan is much larger than maybe what our vision is. So I've had many people, and I'm sure I've done this on occasion, say, it would be really nice if that person would just do this and realize this. I have a mother that's sick, and it would be really great if they would just come and visit them. Why don't they understand they need to do that? Why don't this person understand that it would be really nice if they just smiled at me once in a while? Why did that person just walk by me and not say anything? This actually happened for me yesterday. I went to the funeral home for somebody, for that family. I hadn't actually seen the person that passed in a great many years, but I'm well acquainted with the family from many years past. And as I was coming in, somebody I knew was coming out, actually somebody from my family. And there was like this half, maybe nod of, and kept walking. And I thought about that for like half a second, because, your immediate reaction was, really? You couldn't even say hi? But to realize where we were at. First, we were at the funeral home for somebody else. And quite honestly, that member of my family would have had a much deeper relationship with the person that actually passed than I. So, sometimes you need to listen to your own words when you're in life situations, and to just step back for a moment and go, well, what are they going through right now? Was it really necessary for them to say hi to me? Was that more for me, that I would have wanted that? Or is it necessary for, just that half a nod of, yeah, we're both in that same place right now, and to know that that is okay and that's enough, and whatever needs to happen for that person right then is enough. A friend of mine, one of their favorite quotes is, how people treat you or perceive you is their karma, and how you do the same, treat them, say things, is your karma. And and that says a lot. It says a lot. And that goes right into healing and perceptions of healing. There's a gentleman who worked years and years and years and years for healing, especially with those that were dying. Him and his wife, the Levines, Stephen Levine in particular is the one I'm thinking of. And he passed in January, if I remember correctly. But his works, you can read them, you can listen to them. He's very, very amazing in his teachings. And during an interview once, he was asked by the interviewer, how does healing work? What is healing? And Stephen goes, I don't know. This is a man that worked continually every day to help people find that space within themselves. And he said, you know what? I can't tell you because it's so different for each individual person. It is so just personal, and it's their own way of dealing with whatever. So for some people, there's this argument or this disagreement or banter between Eastern and Western medicine techniques, between natural and not natural and all of that. And his point was, all of that can work with anybody, depending on what it is they're sending their love to. What is it that grasps and speaks to them on a soul level, on an energetic level? So he would teach people that were in great pain situations not to fight themselves because they had to take a pain med, but to send love to that pain med and say thank you, and to allow that softening of self for that healing or that pain relief process. And interesting enough, there's actually science to back that up. Because when you soften yourself and your muscles, right away, any kind of medicine, whether it's considered natural or not, has a way of moving into that area much easier than if you're fighting against it, all clenched up, and all that stuff. On a funny note, I don't know how many of you have seen, some of these men that get hooked up to the electrodes to say that they're simulating labor to see what, I don't know if you've seen that. It's been on some social experiments and also some comedy things, but it'll be gentlemen, and they'll put the electrodes on their stomach to attempt to simulate what a woman would feel during labor of having a child. And the one comment during one of them, and this one was more of a comedy one, but his comment was very telling. And he's like, you know what? If I relax and don't clench up, I can handle this better. So even in that crazy, funny type situation, there's an acknowledgement that softening of self can make things happen more. And if you take that further from not just the physical level, but to your emotional level, your spiritual level, to soften yourself, to allow that absorption of information, of energy, of spirit, of universe, in whatever way that is for you, instead of tightening up against it or second guessing what you're feeling or how many people do we know that go to 12 different doctors to get 12 different diagnoses, and then they get all confused? And really, to soften themselves in that moment, they would know for themselves, because your body's very intelligent and can talk to you and can let you know what's going on. And to know that it's not right or wrong for anybody. It's personal. It's very personal. So for one, and then this is also a study along with the softening. And Stephen Levine also brought this up. Those that fight against whatever it is are often successful. Okay? So the whole fight against a disease, fight against cancer, a fight against whatever, and those that go in there and I'm going to beat it and I'm going to win, and those that do from that mindset, what they found though in studying them after is their emotional, spiritual mindset isn't quite as great as their physical. So you have to wonder again, what is healing? Because those people may have been cured of whatever disease, but on a base level, were they really healed if there's still anger and resentment towards what they went through? Or of an imbalance of emotion because of whatever it was. So what is healing? If we take the definition that healing is your alignment more into self of divine, and leave it there. So what is your alignment? Where can you come into a place where you understand that no matter what happens to you physically and on the planet, you are more than that, and that's an experience. And experiences you can learn from, and you can grow from. Okay, but it doesn't have to be totally who you are. So the person, so in this, a lot of the people that, at least that I work with, they'll come because it's almost like a last-ditch effort. All right, they've tried everything else, they don't know what to do, and they show up at the door. And one of the first things we teach them is just how to be comfortable in their own skin and to accept whatever it is and then go from there. You know, soften, allow, to feel. And for some, and these are reports I've received back, so this is more personal anecdote. But for some, it was a recognition that because of that softening, not only the person that was in physical distress, but the family around them felt peace. And when that peace occurred, the person that was in physical stress did pass. But the family felt peace about it where they weren't before. So the healing is not just the person in physical distress, but it's the people around them too, and the situations around them, and a softening of that. So again, you can't put a label, I don't feel, on what healing really is, because it's so much more than our physical selves. It could be, the song that was picked was Grace. Grace has brought me. It didn't say how grace brought you, it didn't say what grace did for you, it just, grace caused an awareness that you are a divine person. Grace caused an awareness that compassion and love is your right, and that you're allowed to feel that no matter what else is going on. And that grace and compassion can allow you to find what works for you, even if the perception of your immediate people maybe aren't quite in agreement with that. And perceptions too. I have children that are very sensitive to different foods and to even different airborne, but the food one is the one that's been the most challenging in terms of perceptions. Because their body chemistry changes in such a way that their personalities go wonky. So my 21-year-old, when he was quite small, we found out he had a corn syrup allergy and a blue dye allergy. Crazy stuff, right? Now imagine like 16 years ago trying to find stuff with no corn syrup. You know, now it's a little more ready, you know, people have come around a little bit to have options, but then it was crazy. And we actually found an allergist that understood that personality type stuff could change depending on the chemistry of your body. As I took him in, I was pretty sure, because I had experienced that, because my brother actually has a corn allergy as well. So I took him into this allergist, and what they do is they do a little prick on him, and they actually give him like a super dose of corn syrup and then see what happens. They observe him. After one tiny little prick, he was probably about 4 years old at the time. He's jumping on the furniture, he's buzzing around. It was like ADD overload, you know. But I knew that one more step was tantrum overload, because his system went into nutsy. So they took him back for the second stage of the test, and I'm crossing my fingers and praying like crazy, because I'm like, oh no, next step's tantrum. And he came out and he was so, within like a minute, calm, his head's on my lap, the whole thing. And here, they had given him the antidote pretty readily because they understood. These people understood. Now take that though, they understood that allergy perception is not just breaking out and not being able to breathe. that you're, you know, but to try to get other people to understand that sometimes, you know, that perception that a child or a person can eat something that doesn't agree with them and their personality changes. That was a hard one to get through, and people still don't. People still don't, but the perception that maybe he was just being a really bad boy at school, but the teacher gave everybody lollipops, you know, so I get him home and I realize, what'd you have today? You know, let's take care of this somehow. And my oldest is a peanut allergy, and his is the same way. He does do the swelling up to some degree, but his breakout is on his back instead of his face, so it's not the first place you'd look. And his personality, he turns, I would say, evil. I mean, it's just so mean and nasty. Totally opposite of what he normally is. You know, they might seem like crazy examples of perception, but what's really going on with these people? I mean, do you know them well enough to say, oh my goodness, what did you eat today, in terms of my children? Or do you give them some wide berth, like my family member that only gave me half a nod at a public place? You know, there's a perception there. I could have been, you know, and I've heard it, believe me, I've heard it where it comes to my children. Luckily, they learned how to read and could read ingredients for themselves, and it cut down a lot of that. But, you know, the perception that somebody's bad or yucky or whatever, and what kind of healing do they need? What kind of healing do they need? What are they going through? Physically, emotionally? You know, because add on to that, not only do my kids not be able to eat certain things, but can you imagine during school parties not being able to have corn syrup? And that's an emotional level too. So I guess my point is everybody has all those layers. We all have those layers, and they're all worthy of healing on some level. And we have that ability to find that not just in ourselves, but to understand what we think is the truth about somebody else might just be the perception. And maybe our total responsibility at that point is to just acknowledge that for them and send them some form of healing from ourselves. You know, whether that's just compassion for the situation, whether that's an extra prayer at night for them, whether that's sitting with them and saying nothing and allowing it just to go from there. And in that way, you serve spirit higher than, and serve the universe and serve divine as a healer in your everyday life. I have a lot of people come to learn. They want to be a healer. They want to know how to heal. You know, how can I do these things? And a lot of them are intuitive enough that they can pick up things about the person, and they want to know, should I just go up and tell them? Should I tell them what I'm feeling? And again, that's maybe our perceptions of what's going on with them, and not really. But my example is always, if you pretend you're on a school bus, or any bus, city bus, whatever, and you need to get from point A to B, and an older gentleman comes and sits next to you and decides to pull out his wallet and show you a picture of his granddaughter. He's very proud of her. Very, very proud. She's graduating, but he can't be there. He just can't figure out how to get there geographically. But he's telling you all about how proud he is. And all you do is smile and listen the whole time. And then he gets to his stop, he gets up and leaves. At that moment, you totally serve divine and spirit. You don't need to find that granddaughter and call her and tell her what happened. Okay, so we don't need to run to somebody and tell them what it is we've learned or what it is we think we've learned, but just to be in that present space for each other. Means how much good did you do for that gentleman who just needed to be proud and express that? You know, and you said nothing but offered your presence. And how powerful is it for you to just offer your presence meditatively, in prayer, or, you know, that hug thing that we all have going on at the beginning is kind of amazing. I have never been in a church that everybody hugs like that at the beginning. I mean, to just be present like that for somebody else, and it is healing. So what is healing? Just allowing space to be, allowing space to come into alignment, whatever that is. Not always a cure, but you come into more alignment with the divine and the universe. I'd like to use the affirmations as our meditation today. And if you just put yourself into that space of awareness, I'll read them for you. And you can just repeat them to yourself and breathe them in. I'm going to leave some silence in between each one so that you can feel how that resonates with yourself, with your emotional self, your spiritual self, and your physical self. I am grateful for my healthy body, and I bless every part of my body. I am grateful for my healthy body, and I bless every part of my body. I breathe deeply, and every breath energizes me. I breathe deeply, and every breath energizes me. I love myself in totality, and I radiate energy. I love myself in totality, and I radiate energy. I allow the love of the universe to flow within me and to radiate to all that see me. I allow the love of the universe to radiate within me and to all those who see me. If you would place an intention that's dear to you in your heart, and know that that love that's radiating within you, around you, through you, can go to that intention. Mix with the love of the divine and allow for healing in whatever form that healing needs to take place. We understand that miracles happen, and they happen in a way that is correct for the universe. Allow yourself to send that love to that intention. And know that everybody else in the room joins with you in sending love and healing to those intentions. You can see the white light of love flowing to that intention, softening it. Allowing for spirit healing to work. We allow that light that's shining on all our intentions to come back to each of us. We allow ourselves to breathe it in, circulate through our being, and know that we, when sitting in the space of healing for others, receive the gift of healing for ourselves. In gratitude, we thank Spirit for this time, and I thank each one of you for sharing that moment with each other and your intentions. Thank you. Many blessings.